everyone, and welcome back to Season 2, Episode 9 of the Nichi Bei Cafe. It's Jay, and I'm back with your co-host,
Ryan here. As always, this monthly live stream program is brought to you by the Nichi Bei Foundation and the Nichi Bei News through the benevolence of the Henry and Tomoya Takahashi Charitable Foundation. If you enjoy what we're doing here at the cafe, please be sure to leave a like on this video and hit that subscribe button on YouTube for more content just like this.
Hit that bell icon to be notified of any new content on our YouTube channel, and leave a like and comment down below if you have any suggestions for future episodes, or if you just want to say hi. For today's show, we will be focusing on stories of health in our community and other treats.
For our pastry selection, Nichi Bei visits Berkeley to catch up with Dr. Anthony Brown, known for being one of the founders of Asian American jazz, on his battle with cancer.
Nice!
For our salad selection, we recap our latest pilgrimage to the Wakamatsu Tea and Silk Farm Colony.
For our chef special, we get healthy eating advice from our columnist, the Gochiso Gourmet, Ryan Tatsumoto.
For dessert, Chef Kota of Kota's Kitchen is back to cook you a simple Japanese meal that you can make on an electric skillet.
Stick around to be treated to some news bites of happenings in our Japanese and Japanese American community.
And finally, we end the program tonight with tips of events that are coming up in the next month and beyond. So without further delay, let's start the cafe.
Starting off with our pastry selection tonight, Nichi Bei Cafe drops in on Dr. Anthony Brown. He is known for telling stories of social change while advancing the music medium of jazz with cross-cultural expression and experience. Dr. Brown shares his inspired battle with cancer and his lifestyle adjustments resulting from his illness.
Over a career that spans 5 decades, Nichi Bei writer Tomohiro Ai and I sat down with Asian American jazz pioneer Dr. Anthony Brown. Dr. Brown discusses his bout with cancer and recommendations of leading a healthy lifestyle.
But yeah, 2019, following that, so 2018, May, then 2019 I was diagnosed with prostate cancer, and it was in the stage where they had to do something. I had been notified about 8 years earlier that they detected cancer cells in my system. The problem with prostate cancer, there are very few symptoms. You don't even know you have it until somebody diagnoses that you have it. There are no symptoms. So once it's diagnosed, then it's really imperative that that doctor monitor it, and they do that through something called the PSA, which it's checking the levels. And then when that rises high enough, that's when they start doing bisections. And they start taking samples. So I had gone through that process, and when they realized that, the cancer is localized, but it's growing, they said, we have to do something. I was very fortunate in that the urologist, he was really sharp, a Chinese American guy who said, hey, we've got this new cancer research institute that deals with radiology, cutting edge radiology. So I was sent there, and it was very fortunate. They were able to use lasers to kill the cancer cells. So the treatment was successful. It just lasted, a morning. I was home. I was a little bit sore after that, and then after I had that main treatment, then I had, oh gosh, probably another 6 months of external to make sure that any cancer cells, that there were none had survived that treatment and got into my lymph. So they were constant for the next, I think maybe 4 to 6 months after I would get radiation in my abdomen area, just to ensure that they didn't miss anything. And fortunately, nothing, that proved nothing. After that treatment was no problem. It was the hormone treatment that I was getting the shots for that then I had, that's what was the most debilitating. And because, lack of sleep, not knowing when you're going to have a hot flash. Like I said, there was one time I was up giving a lecture, it was a guest lecture, and I had to kind of say, okay, I got to stop for a minute, and, go get a towel. I mean, I carry my towel whenever I go to class, or I still do, but, to make sure that I have something there. So that was probably the worst aspect, was the hormone. But the cancer, the prostate cancer treatment itself, that radiation, that was a godsend, because I didn't have any, not ill effect. I didn't have any ill effects. I mean, it was very, very successful. Well, fortunately, I've still been able to maintain an interest in composing. So I actually had started a work probably 2 or 3 years ago called Requiem in Time of COVID. So I am still composing. I actually am collaborating with other musicians on a commemorative concert for Ken Schubert. Ken Schubert was a real ardent presenter of jazz in the Bay Area, and there's a memorial concert. So I'll be working with Hafiz Modir-Zadeh, member of the Asian American Orchestra. But fortunately, here now in 2023, I'm done with the hormone treatment. No sign of any return of the cancer. I go regularly to Kaiser, and they say that you're doing well. So I just knock on wood and thank my lucky stars that I was one of the few people who were able to survive prostate cancer.
We asked Dr. Brown what influenced his discipline of a healthy lifestyle.
And then being in the military, and then having kids and having to provide a good example. So yeah. But again, I look to my parents for having provided the best models. My mom and dad. My mom made sure that we were always healthy, prepared whenever we left to go to school. She made sure she had basically inspected us, make sure we had everything. She looked at our lunch, make sure we didn't add anything or leave something out. But yeah, I have to really thank my parents. I think that they were the source of having the discipline. But I changed my diet probably about 20 years ago. I stopped eating red meat, stopped eating any meat that would have any processing. So I only eat fish and some chicken. Mostly vegetables. I eat mostly a Japanese diet. I mean, when I raised my kids, I was cooking yakisoba and chicken teriyaki, and so I just continue. And my mom, that's what my mom served. I learned how to cook from my mom, so that's what I still cook. I mean, that's my diet. So I'm really grateful for that. And I think, as far as any other health issues, none except for memory loss. And that's due to age. I can remember Duke Ellington wrote Black and Tan Fantasy in 1927, but I can't tell you what I was doing yesterday afternoon at 4. So, it's selective memory. But, I'm totally grateful because, like I said, I've lost friends, to prostate cancer. I mean, it's a very vicious disease. The big issue is that it doesn't have any symptoms. You don't know you have it. You have to have good treatment. And that's the problem. Most musicians I know, they don't have a medical plan. I'm lucky, I have one.
Having done a stint at the Smithsonian Institute, doing oral histories of famous jazz artists, Dr. Brown was able to see healthy patterns of the great artists' lifestyles that would inspire him throughout his career.
Fortunately, there are examples of musicians who, were very successful, who provided great examples. My first one is Duke Ellington. Here he keeps, how do you run an orchestra for that long without taking care of yourself, being organized? Another one is, look at John Coltrane. His spirituality was his guiding force. So you look at these kinds of folks, and then, having interviewed so many of the musicians to find out, okay, so this is what that person had to do in order to maintain a lifestyle and raise a family. So I was inspired by some of the people who were very, very successful. So I was very grateful. And, again, you just never know what path your life is going to take you, but you have to be aware of the things that are going to shape your future. And part of that is how well you take care of yourself. How well are you in tune to what your body's telling you? And I think that that's really a key that all of us have to develop.
Taking the time to listen to our bodies is great advice. This is Greg Gloria for Tomo Hirai for the Nichi Bei Cafe.
Thanks to Tomo and Greg for that segment. What an inspiration to us all. On that note, I think it's time for our salad. We share a wrap-up of our pilgrimage to the historic Wakamatsu tea and silk farm colony on October 7th. We had more than 150 people attend, including on buses launched from San Francisco, San Jose, East Bay, and Sacramento.
Over 150 people got to hang out with Ryan.
October 7th, 2023 marked the third biennial pilgrimage to the historic Wakamatsu tea and silk farm colony. 4 buses of pilgrims from the Bay Area and Sacramento converged on the site located in rural Placerville. Nichi Bei Foundation board member Wendy Yamashita kicked off our event with some remarks. Her opening remarks brought to light the reason we all attended the pilgrimage.
We come to Wakamatsu to remember the first settlement of Japanese immigrants in the United States. We remember their hopes and dreams that they had when they left for Japan and embarked on a journey to an unknown place. We remember their ingenuity as they planted mulberry trees for silkworm farming, tea plants, and bamboo roots for food and building. We remember the difficulties they faced with the dry climate and drought. And we must remember the growing intensity of anti-Asian sentiment that began to develop at this time that would later result in immigration restriction and exclusion. And we remember those who died here, like Okei-san, who was only 19 years old. We remember the Japanese immigrants who were here. And when we come together to remember, it is a political act of resistance.
The pilgrimage also featured John E. Van Zandt, associate professor at the University of Alabama, Birmingham, who's the author of Pacific Pioneers, Japanese Journeys to America and Hawaii, 1850 to 80, documenting the early Japanese pioneers' travels outside of Japan. He set the stage for the reason for Japanese pioneers to come to the great California frontier.
The destruction of Aizu Wakamatsu, resulting from this historic transformation from Tokugawa Japan to Meiji Japan, also ended up pushing a handful of these refugees to seek a new life in a place they may have heard of, but they certainly knew nothing about, and that is the California frontier.
Herb Tanimoto, docent with the American River Conservancy, gave a talk on the newly found descendants of Wakamatsu colonists Matsugoro Oto and Sakichi and Nami Yanagisawa, who have been discovered in Japan in recent years. These add to the descendants of Kuninosuke Mazumitsu, the only known Wakamatsu colony descendants in America. Masumizu's great-great-great-grandson, Aaron Gibson, attended at the tail end of the day's event. Before the pilgrims went to visit and pay respects to Oke, the first Japanese woman to be buried on American soil, they danced Bonodori, which was led by music from the Koyasan Kongo Gumi, with dancing led by Helene Nakamura of the Placer Buddhist Church. After paying respects to ancestors by dancing the Bonodori, docents of the American River Conservancy led the pilgrims in the hot sun to pay respects to Oke. Rinban Yuki Sugahara of the Buddhist Church of Sacramento, Butsuan, led a blessing, and each pilgrim took turns paying respects to Oke's grave. The original headstone of Okay's grave was returned to the site this year and is now protected by an enclosure from the elements. Before and after visits to Okay's grave, participants were able to consult genealogy experts from the California Genealogical Society. Professor Van Zandt puts in perspective the importance of the Wakamatsu colonists' brave endeavor here in California as a foundation for the future immigrants from Japan.
Before the Wakamatsu colonists, before Okay, there had been a handful of Japanese who came to the United States, but they came briefly or were on official business. They didn't come here to stay. But the Wakamatsu colonists, they clearly came here intending to settle down and become part of this new world on the West Coast. And so Okay's grave is the first Japanese we know of who died in the United States. Represents that sort of vanguard of Japanese settlement, which within 15, 20 years would really start going, especially on the West Coast, and in many ways almost the same kind of format as here in Coloma, that is, in agriculture.
The Nichi Bei Foundation is grateful for the participants in this year's trek to Wakamatsu. The pilgrimage was presented by the Nichi Bei Foundation in partnership with the American River Conservancy and the California Genealogical Society. The event was sponsored by the UCLA Asian American Studies Center and the George and Sakae Aratani Care Award and the Wayne Maeda Educational Fund. This is Greg Valoria for the Nichi Bei Cafe.
Thanks to Greg for that story. For our chef special tonight, we connect with our Nichi Bei News contributing writer, the Gochiso Gourmet, Ryan Tatsumoto, on the island of Oahu. Ryan gives some advice on healthy meals. Not for meat lovers, but we hope that you can pick up some food tips for your diet from Ryan. Bam, 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 bam.
Give it a shot, even though I am a meat lover. I love the meat.
Hi, it's Ryan Tatsumoto, the Gochiso Gourmet, coming to you from little overcast and muggy Kaneohe, Hawaii. What I'm going to be talking to you about today is how to incorporate more vegetables in your diet. Veggies? Why veggies? I don't like to eat veggies. Certain presidents don't like broccoli. Don't listen to them. You want to get as much vegetables in your diet because they're a good source of minerals, vitamins, dietary fiber, and they're usually not as caloric dense as some of the other bad foods that we may overindulge in. So my first suggestion is reuse your old bread. Why am I talking about bread? I just said I'm going to get veggies in your diet. Well, when bread starts to go stale, I repurpose them by slicing them into little cubes. Small cubes, about 1/2 inch for my strata or savory bread puddings, and larger cubes, about 1 inch for my panzanella or Italian bread salad. Usually for the panzanella, what I do after cubing the bread, I throw it in a mixing bowl on the bottom, and I get a whole bunch of veggies, usually zucchini, red peppers, green peppers, onions, mushrooms. You can do broccoli, cauliflower. You just slice them up roughly, toss them in a little oil and vinegar and salt and pepper, then grill them just until they get a little al dente. Worst thing you can do with zucchini is cook it until it's dead. You want still some of that crunch. After chopping the vegetables, all the vegetables in bite-sized pieces, what I do is I layer them evenly over the bread. And what happens is the juices that liberate from the cooked vegetables start seeping into the bread, making it a little softer. What you can also do is cover your bowl with some saran wrap, and that steam helps also soften the bowl. Once it cools down enough, I usually toss it with maybe a little bit of chopped olives, some capers, fresh basil, and your favorite vinaigrette. You just mix it up. You can eat it right there, or you can chill it and have it cold as your bread salad. For the strata, what I do is I usually, for 13 by 9 pan. I use roughly about 4 cups of milk, add about anywhere from 4 to 6 eggs. You can use a combination of whole eggs and egg yolks, or just egg whites, or you can just use egg whites if you want to leave out the cholesterol. You can use those same grilled veggies, throw them in the pan. I usually put some frozen chopped spinach that I squeeze all the water out, roasted red peppers. You mix that, throw it all in the pan, put the egg and milk mixture, and let it sit for about 15 minutes. And basically what that does is let the bread sops up some of that custard. Throw it in a 350 oven for about 30 to 45 minutes, just until the top stops browning. And now you have another dish that's primarily vegetables. The way I prep it, like I mentioned, grilling is good. Why? Grilling adds a smoky flavor. The smoky flavor kind of is a substitute for like when you grill meats, but it's going to be a lot healthier since it's vegetables. If you don't have a grill, or say you live in a condo, you're not allowed to start a fire on your balcony, you can also roast them in the oven. Usually what I do is a 400-degree oven. I toss the vegetables, whether they're broccoli, broccolini, cauliflower, fennel. I mean, you can use almost anything. I put a little bit of olive oil. You can get the olive oil in these little sprays so it doesn't really saturate the vegetable that much. A little salt and pepper, and just throw it in the oven. Usually at about the 20-minute mark, I start watching it, because in the oven, you can also get that char, which is good, but you don't want to get it burnt. Burnt is no good. Char is good. And if you just have a regular sheet pan, about halfway through, just get your tongs and flip them so there's an even heat distribution on whatever vegetable you're using. Or you can make life simpler. They sell these pans on the internet. They're like little net. They're not solid. They're wire mesh. And that way you don't even have to turn the item. The heat can hit both the bottom and the top of the vegetable itself. Again, roasted or grilled, you can chop them up, throw them in your panzanella, your strata. Or you can make innovative vegetable salads. To me, lettuce salad is so boring. I don't really eat a whole lot of lettuce. Why? Lettuce is basically just a bunch of water and scant amount of fiber. And it doesn't have much flavor. It doesn't fill me up. I rather have my salads with your heartier vegetables, the cauliflowers, broccolinis, broccolis, add flavor with onions and peppers. I found this salad recently. It used roasted cauliflower you chop up, and beans. And the vinaigrette basically use a little bit of toasted cumin seeds. Cumin is that flavor that it's usually in chili, some capers for salt, and then I use Spanish, the sherry wine vinegar, which adds a little different taste and way better when you toss the beans and the cauliflower and all the flavor ingredients. Way better than your standard iceberg lettuce salad. Recently, I've also been enamored with something called escarole. If you go to the East Coast in Jersey, I believe they call it scarole or scarole. But it looks like lettuce, but it's meant to cook, and it has a slight bitterness. A classic dish out of Utica, New York is Utica greens, where they use chopped prosciutto, a little bit of garlic, onions. And once that gets going, they toss the shredded escarole in there. They top it with a little bit of breadcrumbs mixed with Parmesan cheese, throw it under a broiler to kind of brown a little. And they also add those spicy cherry peppers. Because I don't really like spicy foods all that much, I usually leave out the peppers, and I don't need that little crunch. I'm treating it more like cooked vegetables, so I don't put the breadcrumb cheese mixture. But it's a lot better, again, than an iceberg lettuce salad. It has a cousin on the East Coast known as beans and greens. Again, it uses escarole that you cook, but instead of using prosciutto, it's just garlic, olive oil. They use a little chili flake, and in place of the prosciutto, they throw canned beans in it, cannellini, those little white beans. Again, makes a good side dish or a salad itself. And finally, what you can do for your lunchtime at work is make these salads ahead of time, leave them in the fridge. I don't know if you go on the internet and social media, you'll see a lot of these food bloggers and vloggers. They use mason jars. They put the dressing or whatever sauce on the very bottom. Then they top that with the heartier vegetables. So like if you're using roasted sweet potatoes or cauliflower, broccoli, and then the frillier like arugula, shredded carrots on the top, and just cover it up, put it in the fridge. When it's time to eat, you just shake the whole thing to incorporate the dressing, just pour it out in a bowl, and now you have a healthy salad to eat. Hopefully, you'll use some of these suggestions, and in my next column at the end of the month, I'll also have some recipes that you could use. And hopefully this will get you on the road to eating more of your veggies. Until then, this is the Gochiso Gourmet signing off.
Thanks for joining us for this month's episode of the Nichi Bei Cafe. If you want to see more of my column, Origami Now, where I show you step-by-step instructions on how to do wonderful models like this and this, please consider subscribing to the Nichi Bei News. Thanks for joining us for this month's episode of the Nichi Bei Cafe.
Thanks to Ryan Tatsumoto for that story. I usually don't like vegetables, but that looks alright.
I agree. You really don't like vegetables.
Yeah,
On to our dessert, we are again proud to bring back our Nichi Bei office chef, Koto Morikawa, who will show you how to make food right from the Nichi Bei office kitchen.
In this episode, Chef Kota teaches us how to make a new Nichi Bei office favorite, oyakodon, a story of the chicken and the egg. Hey, Jay,
Hello?
you know which one came first?
I didn't come here
Never
to
mind.
interrogate
Go ahead
you.
and enjoy, everybody.
Yahoo! Welcome to Kota's Kitchen. I'm the chef Kota from Nichi Bei Foundation. This is a cooking show to make Japanese dishes to feed and make your colleague happy in an office setting by using the electric skillet. Today's main character is the egg and chicken. Today, I'm going to show you how to cook oyakodon. Oya means the parents. Ko means the children. Well, this is not children, this is like before children. But the egg and chicken. First, we have a hot skillet. Put the oil in. It's just about. We have onion. So you always want to cook onion first because onion has it's kind of a spicy kind of taste in there. So you want to fully cook. Alright, now onions are coming to be see-through right now. So it's good time to add chicken. So this is a chicken thigh meat, and you can choose not to include the skin. You know, some people prefer skins, and I prefer skin on it, and it gives me this kind of a good natural oil from it. All right, now chicken is halfway cooked, so I will add the paste. I don't like to use those, teaspoons and tablespoon stuff. The ratio is very important. And simply, we are using mirin, shoyu, and sake, and sugar today. And there's one more. There's a dashi soup. This is not a chicken stock. I will call it tuna stock. It's a tuna-based, katsuobushi-based. So I will put like a 50 millimeter by using this measuring cup. to add in. Now pour these in. And then sugar. Just 2 tablespoons for this today. Right, now mix well. Right, I mixed kind of well here. So I would like to put the cover on. And let's wait for about 2 minutes. Looks like chicken's well cooked. Alright, now the another main character will be in, which is egg. So today we are going to use 6 eggs to feed 10 people. So we're gonna break the egg. Right, now those 6 eggs are in. I will just make stir it. So when you whisk, you wanna, gonna spread your 2 chopsticks like this, and then whisking. That makes it faster. And if you have any question about this, how to make oyakodon, please comment us, and then we will respond. And then also, if you're not subscribed to Nichi Bei Foundation, please subscribe. Now those little chickens and onions are all break apart. So the egg will make everything put together. So we will pour in some residue of egg. I'll just kind of wipe by using one of the eggs. Yeah, let's not waste food. And now we put the cover on. Let's wait for 1 minute. Then we will have itadakimasu soon. Let's see. Woo! Oyakodon. It's ready. Are you guys hungry? Yeah! Alright, let's do itadakimasu then.
Yeah.
Hey guys, how does it look?
It looks great.
Thank you.
Oh wow, it's synced.
I love the green onion on this.
Oh great.
Yeah, it's pretty
Yeah,
cool.
make sure to put the green onion. This is coming from my garden, and it's really nice, adding nice taste to it. Alright, so let's call it. Una, dos, tres, itadakimasu!
Many thanks to Chef Kota-san for that easy recipe. Next up, we share some noteworthy stories from the community news files. Let's roll news bites, please.
Roll it. Roll it, please.
Remember your manners.
Please roll it. Next is our news bites, highlighting events over the past month or so, including stories from the pages of the Nichi Bei News.
First off, we feature the 35th anniversary of the Japanese American Museum of San Jose, which was celebrated September 23rd with a sake tasting event at the museum. Supporters of the museum, located in San Jose's Japantown, came together to celebrate the museum's anniversary with San Jose Taiko. They featured a selection of sake and food pairings and partook in a silent auction. All of these efforts supported a fundraiser for the museum, whose mission is to collect, preserve, and share Japanese American history, culture, and art with a focus on the Greater Bay Area. For more information, visit jamsj.org.
In the East Bay city of Emeryville, JSA held its annual family festival on September 24th, featuring local entertainment, activities, and vendors, and food specially prepared by chef Yuji Ishikata. A highlight of the day was an author event with mystery novelist Naomi Hirahara, whose new book, Evergreen, continues her Japantown series after the much-heralded Clark and Division. While Clark and Division focused on Chicago's Japanese American community, Evergreen turns its focus to Los Angeles' Little Tokyo. Entertainment included the Berkeley Buddhist Temple, the Daruma no Gakko, and Jeisei Intergen Choir at the Cal Hawaii Club. Jeisei is a multi-generational and multicultural organization with its roots in Nikkei values and culture.
Next, we turn to departing Consul General of Japan in San Francisco, Yasushi Noguchi, who departed San Francisco after a year at his post in September. Many people from the Japanese Chamber of Commerce of Northern California and the Japanese American community gathered for a reception on September 8th at the Japanese Cultural Community Center of Northern California. Looking back on the past year, Consul General Noguchi said that his most memorable moments included the meeting he had with the California state government regarding clean energy. After returning to Japan, he assumed the post of Director of Central and South America Bureau. Noguchi's successor in San Francisco is Yo Osumi, who was most recently Director General of the Counterterrorism Unit Japan and Counselor for the Cabinet Secretary.
Continuing a string of organizations celebrating their 50th anniversary this year was the Sogetsu San Francisco Bay Area branch, which held a demonstration and banquet on July 14th at the Embassy Suites Hotel by Hilton in South San Francisco. The demonstration showcased the talents of Master Instructor Misei Ishikawa from Sogetsu headquarters in Tokyo, Japan. The anniversary celebration continued throughout the weekend with various demonstrations. Established in March of 1973, the branch has over 50 years of presenting and sharing the contemporary floral art of Sogetsu Ikebana with the San Francisco Bay Area community. Through the branch's programs, they hone their members' artistic skill, ever mindful of the words of Sogetsu's founder, Sofu Teshigahara, lived 1900 through 1979, that Ikebana is a formative art which stresses individual creativity. So, congratulations to the Sogetsu San Francisco Bay Area branch.
And we close our news bites with yet another 50th anniversary celebration as the Japanese Cultural and Community Center of Northern California capped off its 50th anniversary celebration with Tabemasho, their annual fundraising event on October 7th. The annual event, fashioned after a Japanese summer festival, featured uchiwa, yatai, and festival food like takoyaki provided by the Sokoji Soto mission of San Francisco. The event also featured special events from Japan. Hiroki Tanaka, a fourth-generation blacksmith from Kagoshima Prefecture who sold handmade kitchen knives at the event, and Sachiko and Morie Watanabe of Shirakawa Daruma of Fukushima Prefecture who sold custom hand-painted daruma at the event. The Watanabes also presented a 1 million yen gift to the community center, which is about $6,732. The annual fundraising event reiterated the theme of the community center's 50th anniversary, celebrating generations. It also recognizes the work of Nisei, who helped build the organization, as well as succeeding generations. The event featured Consul General of Japan in San Francisco, Yo Osumi's conferment of a Foreign Minister's Commendation to Paul Osaki, the JCCCNC's Executive Director for the last 33 years. The award recognized Osaki's dedication to promoting mutual understanding between the two countries.
For more up-to-date news like this, please be sure to subscribe to the Nichi Bei News, carrying on a legacy of 124 years of community leadership through media, at www.nichibei.org/subscribe. A lot of things are happening in the community this fall. Next up, we would like to present a calendar of upcoming events, but first, we would like to thank everyone for continuing to support our YouTube channel and hope you enjoy our future content featuring our Japanese and Japanese American community. So please go ahead and continue to support us by telling your friends, family, and loved ones to subscribe to our YouTube channel so that they don't miss a single episode of our program, as well as video segments from the show and other special videos in between. So that said, it's time for tonight's tips, which will include our community calendar. Knife.
Well, everyone, thanks for joining us for our 9th episode of Season 2 featuring health and other goodies. And a big thanks to Ryan for, again, anchoring this episode with me.
Yeah, always here to help you out with lines and help you practice, so yeah. Thanks, Jay. Enjoyed being a part of the community today and keeping the community connected, informed, and empowered.
We hope that you enjoyed our show today and wish you and your family a great rest of October. At this point, we want to say a big thanks to the Henry and Tomoya Takahashi Foundation for their continued support of the cafe. We greatly appreciate our collaboration with you in finding new ways to engage our Nikkei community.
In this episode, we celebrated stories about health and cultural connections. We hope that you enjoyed what we and, of course, all of our featured chefs cooked up from the cafe menu today. Thanks again for joining us at the Nichi Bei Cafe.